皆さんこんにちは、コウです。今回はですね、オンライン英会話サービスのCamblyを使って日本に旅行で来たことのあるネイティブの先生に日本の良い点や悪い点について聞いてみたので、その様子を皆さんにシェアしたいと思います。では早速見ていきましょう。どうぞ。So, are you cool to be on my channel? Like, I want to ask you some questions, and then I'm thinking of if I can use it for my channel. Or, but if you don't really, if you mind, it's fine. We can just talk about here.
Yeah, we can try. If it's anything that I can answer, then I would be happy to.
Okay, great. So I just want to ask you about your experience when you travel to Japan. Like, I want to know what was good or bad as a foreign tourist?
As a foreign tourist, okay, that's an interesting question. So, well, like I've said before, I've been to Japan maybe 2 times in the past, and I do plan to come again in the future. I would say good experiences, positive and bad experiences. I would say very little, if maybe 0 bad experiences. I didn't have any experience in myself. I know I've heard some people say that maybe they have had bad experiences, but for myself, not so much. I would say good experiences. I think there's so many for me. I like number 1 is food, as I always found food to be always of top quality and really good experience, no matter what restaurant you chose. Also the people, very friendly, very kind, very patient and understanding. Not everyone, but everyone's different. So I think in the majority. And good experiences. I also found, if I can remember,
like it doesn't have to be the experience, but what you thought about Japan
just
in general as a tourist. Like some people say, what's often said about Japan is like there is a lack of English signage. Or,
that's interesting.
Or stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say I know that since the beginning of the Tokyo Olympics that they were starting to get more English signage and starting to prepare more for this, so it might have been a little bit easier. When I went, it was maybe a year or 2 before the Tokyo Olympics. 2018, 2019 was when I went, and I never had any issue with any of the signage. But at the same time, I was starting to study a little bit of Japanese, so maybe it was more comfortable for me. Yeah. For example, I remember when I was in the train stations and the subway, then maybe some of the stations would have the Japanese for the station, and I could read the stations, so it was maybe a little bit easier for me. But I think English was enough. I had a friend with me the second time, and he had no issues riding the trains or anything. He did mention though, when we went to, I think it was maybe Osaka, that it was maybe less English in Osaka compared to Tokyo. Maybe
that could
things
be
like this. Yeah, but other than this, no, I had no issues myself with any.
Did you try to take the bus in Japan? Because like in bus usually there is no English on signage, I suppose, and then in some buses like don't really have an English announcement either. So
yeah, that's true. That's a really interesting question because I've been twice, but I've never had the opportunity to use the bus. But I was actually planning on my 3rd trip to use the bus because I hadn't used before, and I was actually a little bit nervous about using because I'd never done before.
So like transport or that kind of stuff, like you didn't really feel like it was a problem for you to travel in Japan, like about the English thing?
No.
But what about just the people, you know, when you I don't know, have a communication.
Well, I will say, I think this might be similar to maybe a lot of tourists, is there's not so much opportunity for real communication unless you go out to maybe bars or places where you can talk, because I think most of the people you'll communicate with is maybe staff at a tourist spot or at maybe a konbini or things like this, and it's very basic conversation, and most of the time it might be in Japanese.
That was in Japanese?
The konbini, I think so, most likely. Yeah, so there's not so much
at the restaurants.
At the restaurant,
find that stuff
maybe with English or Japanese. I think at maybe the very popular restaurants like For example, I used to go to the Coco's Curry House or Coco Ichibanya, and I think maybe more English in this type of place, a wider restaurant, a chain, but maybe the smaller restaurants, not so much. But you do have some restaurants with the tablets that you can choose.
That's
English
true. That's
menus.
true.
Yeah, and things
Or it
like
might
this.
depend upon the location too. If
Exactly.
It's in Tokyo,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If it's maybe
English-speaking
further in the
stuff too.
countryside or outside, then maybe not so much.
Yeah, seems like you didn't really have a
Too many issues.
with traveling to Japan, and then
Yeah.
if I asked you what could be improved in Japan.
That's a really good question.
Good to
So
say,
maybe
yeah.
from an outside perspective, what
Yeah.
could be improved? I'm trying to think. I mean, for me, I really had not too many issues.
Uh-huh.
Maybe, I think maybe outside Tokyo, maybe in the more rural areas or maybe not so popular tourist destinations, always having things like maybe an English menu or things like this would make it easier and more comfortable for tourists to come and to use more of the facilities and more of the restaurants. I believe they should learn some basic Japanese would be more easier, but if not, then this might make it more comfortable, and they also might decide to travel further from Tokyo and go out.
Yeah, that's so true. Like in order to have a tourist in a lot more cities in Japan, maybe having I don't know, like English menus or like make it more accessible.
Yeah, absolutely, more accessible. But I also believe that Japan should not change so much as to become
to conserve the tradition.
Yeah, exactly, to conserve the tradition. It would not be so good if maybe tourists are traveling to Japan for a new experience, and then when they get there, there's English everywhere, and it feels just like home.
It doesn't really feel like
somewhere
different country.
Somewhere new. Exactly. So it's a very difficult balance. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for answering.
No
my
problem,
questions.
Koki. I hope this answers some of your questions, and I'd be happy for you to share this. So not a problem.